Hello and welcome to Love Through It. I am Liana, your host, if you didn't know that. And if you're new here, welcome. I am just a regular lady who was trying to feel better in the world and trying to live in a sensitive body and somehow found herself on a deeply spiritual and very magical path. And I guess that's what we're doing here today. Um, I'm not gonna lie, I'm a bit nervous. I felt called to do this if you've been on the journey with me for a little while. And by felt called, I mean was told by my channel. I have a channel and guides. I was very strongly urged in this direction. And at this point in my life, it's not very comfortable to disregard those messages. So here we are. And all week, or yeah, it's been a week, I think, or so since this decision, maybe two, was made. I've been kind of racking my brain for what I'm meant to be doing here. And 2 days ago, I sat down and I was like, okay, I'm going to connect. I'm really going to think, which I know is not always the way in, but I'm really going to make some space for what wants to come through here. And it was so beautiful. I got a very loud message that was just like, connect to yourself and reconnect to what you're excited about. So I did that, and it was very obvious what I was meant to do next. So I figured I'd set it up a little bit more before I just launch right into it. But this year, I've been feeling really called to, I think the things I'm working on the most are catching my intuition sooner, really operating on the subtle nudges of my life internally, externally. Like even now, I was getting ready and I was in the bathroom in my bedroom, and there's a large mirror, obviously, and it reflects. There's a little balcony on the other side of the room, and so I can see the door and I can see out to the balcony. And out of the corner of my eye, I see a big bee, which is a sign, which is a signal from my late shaman that I'm supported. So here I am feeling kind of nervous, and I get this really beautiful bee just kind of hanging out for a little while. And I'm like, okay, it's going to be okay. And more, I'm trying to listen to my whispers, my intuition, my ping, my guidance, things that show up internally, externally. And I'm noticing the quicker I jump on board. And sometimes that's even not finishing the last 3 bites of my dinner, right? It's just getting more deeply connected to myself. I'm noticing more flow. I'm noticing more synchronicities in my life. It's really exciting. And on top of that, I am, well, okay, I'll bring it back a little bit. In addition, so that's like one of my main goals I've been working on. And the other is this idea, and this is sort of what brought up the whole idea of what I'm going to talk about today, but of questioning and our minds and our thoughts. And over the past few years, I've had a number of really bizarre, unintentional, beautiful spiritual experiences, as we know, or may or may not know. And there's a part of my mind, because I was never a spiritual person. I grew up in a very science-based household, and I'm deeply curious and I love learning. So I'm always wondering what the hell's going on. And the deeper I get down this path, the more I'm experiencing things that science or my rational mind can't explain. And I'm at the point where I have been given some directives by people in my life, by my guides, around like, okay, you're here to move consciousness forward. And the first time I heard this was in 2023, the beginning of 2023. And I was like, I don't know what you're talking about. You got the wrong girl. It's not me. Like, what do you mean? And I didn't believe it. And more, I've had these experiences that have caused expansion in my own consciousness that have shown me that life is so much bigger and more beautiful than we can ever imagine. So I just want to start there. Like there's something much bigger, and it's love. Let's just call it that. Like, as corny as that sounds, it's all just love. That's what it all comes back to. And if I'm here to move consciousness forward, whatever that means, I ponder more and more like, what are we doing here? What's the point? And I always come back to, I think at the end of the day, we're just here to have a great time and love each other, right? And the more I get connected to myself and the more I follow my intuition, my pings, my guides, the more I flow in my life, I'm just shown more beauty, more love, more expansion. And I've slowly created a life that exceeded my wildest dreams. And it's hard to say that out loud because we are in a really difficult time on the planet. It's really hard for a lot of people. And I think it's really radical to say, wow, I'm really lucky. I'm really happy. I feel a lot of love. I feel a lot of joy. But more than anything, I get continually pushed to open my heart and share that with you. So that's what we're doing here. And when I think about everything I've learned, and when I connect to, okay, what am I meant to share? I'm being pushed to do this. I'm supposed to do this. What am I supposed to be talking about? Are you just going to show up and I'm going to channel directly? And I think sometimes yes. And it's interesting with my channel, it's very integrated in my consciousness. So I'll have moments where I'll just get information in and out, and it sounds like me and it feels like me. And then I get bigger moments where I feel the need to close my eyes, or the energy really shifts, or the energy shifts in my body. And this has only been happening more consciously the past couple of years. And I've not been putting this out more publicly. So here I am doing it, owning it. I'm on this ride. I'm sharing it with you all in hopes that you connect to something bigger and more beautiful in your life, and you get to experience everything that you have wanted. Because I believe whoever invented all of this, whatever you believe, whether it's your higher self or something so much bigger, that truly everything that you desire, everything you want, everything you yearn for, everything that you feel like that you dream about, that you've been dreaming about since you were a child, or that you feel just this pull for, is meant for you, was placed inside of you, is your path, right? And the problem is that we, have grown up, we live in this society that values the mind, which is a very beautiful tool that we have, but that values the materialism way of looking at reality, understanding that, only what we can prove is real, only what you can see is real, and everything beyond that isn't true. And I'm here to say, as a former non-believer in any of this, I never even thought about it. I wasn't interested in anything, past lives, spiritual, magical, all of that stuff. And I've had so many experiences that I can just tell you there is so much more than we can even know. And the beautiful thing is, so much of that is here to support you and to push you in the direction of your dreams, right? So we get very indoctrinated into the mind being everything. And it's scary because our minds can go in so many different directions. And I learned this firsthand. If you've been following me for a while, even what lack of sleep, what you put in your body, you notice if you're hungover, how you feel the next day, your thoughts are not the same. And when I got sick in my 20s with, a myriad of weird, undiagnosable autoimmune things, I noticed that I became sort of a shell of myself. And when I started to change my diet really drastically, my thoughts, my energy, how I saw the world changed. And it was so wild to me that something as simple as cutting out caffeine, alcohol, sugar, gluten, dairy. I mean, I know that doesn't sound simple, but I was not in a good state, guys. And, meditating, prioritizing sleep, all of a sudden changed it almost felt like colors seemed brighter. And it was like, okay, wow, reality is different than we think, and it's very malleable. And because I was an actor for so long, and because being an actor is often a very thankless job, where you're getting a no all the time to your face, and you're the one showing up, you're the commodity. You really got to work hard to figure out, like, okay, how do I not take this personally? How do I love who I am throughout this process? And that led me to a lot of self-help and a lot of, meditation and mindfulness to really separate myself from, hey, I have this like really big burning desire to express in this way, to explore in this way, but it also breaks my heart all the time. So how do I separate these two things, and how do I survive? Right. So I started to understand that, like, through, different perception shifts, you can also see the world differently. So, for the past 10 or 15 years, I started playing around with that. And the more I got into meditation, and the more I realized you could more permanently change your state and get your body used to things like peace and calm and gratitude, your reality starts to shift more and more. And I know I've brought this up here before, but I, in the past few years, got very into David Hawkins, and he created this thing called the scale of consciousness. And the more uncomfortable feelings like anger and guilt and shame are lower down in frequency, and the higher, joy, love, peace are higher. And he talks a lot about, and I think we've all experienced this, when we're in the lower vibrations, our thoughts are different, our opportunities are different, because if we're looking through the lens of fear, things are a lot scarier, right? We're not going to take risks. We're not going to, put ourselves out there. But if we're in joy and we're excited, it's like, yeah, I'm going to go talk to that person, or I'm absolutely going to apply for that job. Like, I feel peace. I'm going to go for it, right? So I started to see more and more how my reality shifted. And the more I meditated, the more I started to realize, and again, I got here because, my life changed drastically in my mid-30s, and my body started to break down again. And I was really determined not to get sick. And so I dedicated myself to meditating a couple hours a day, and it really healed my body. But beyond that, it healed my nervous system. And then beyond that, it started to show me that there was this whole other space. It almost felt like I was like in my body, in my mind for a number of years. And the more I meditated, the more like my mind became this tool instead of everything. The less I believed the thoughts, the less anxiety I had, the more I lived in this state of peace. And there was this whole other big expanse out there for me. And I talk about this a lot, and I've been going back and forth, and I've said this before, but I would say a year and a half ago, I started to notice, well, even before. So when I had my big I had a couple of huge experiences. One was this bliss experience where I was shown just the most beauty I've ever experienced. And the message was, it was the most love, the most, like, it was just the most unbelievable a bliss. It was a bliss state that everything comes from inside, that there's nothing here that's actually creating that. Like, you're the only one who can create that, which totally turned my life upside down and made it really hard to be motivated to do anything in the 3D world. Cause I was like, wait, I already can create the most beautiful experiences in my body. Why am I like working really hard and like pushing when like the result of what I want externally is something I can immediately create internally, right? So that started to shift things around. And about 9 months later, I had this experience that felt like a death. And then after that, I was exhausted and more sensitive to everything. And that was a really interesting turning point, because it felt like all of my energy was taken. And then I couldn't do anything. And I wouldn't say I didn't want to do, but it felt like there was this bigger pull of energy that was leading the way. And my mind was going crazy because I started working less. I was like painting. I was just like uncontrollably, instead of working. I was for months waking up every morning and channeling a book that would never went anywhere. But I just felt like there was this need to purge information that was coming into my brain. And then I started channeling. And my rational brain lost everything. Like I was freaking out. I wasn't sleeping because it was almost like there was a separation happening where I all of a sudden was so much more connected to this bigger expansive energy that was pushing me in a certain direction than I was my rational mind telling me, like, no, you got to work. You can't live off your retirement. You have to do this. You have to do that. And even though I was terrified, I couldn't do it. I couldn't bring myself to do it. So that year, I spent a lot of time in bed, a lot of time meditating, a lot of time just staring into space, feeling more connected to this energy and learning my channel. And it was scary and bizarre because I watched my life turn into this other thing and I felt like I had no control over it. But the more I resisted, the more I suffered. And the more I leaned into and accepted, and it was a real ego death, I must say. There were many of them. There still are many of them. But all of these self-concepts, all of these ideas about who I was supposed to be, what I was supposed to be, what I was supposed to do, kept coming up and out and up, and I couldn't do it. And it would freak me out. So I made a deal finally because I was like sleeping 2 hours a night. Like I was so full of anxiety. I was like clenching everywhere, like freaking out. And I was like, fine, if there's anyone or anything out there, I'm going to trust you. And I'm not going to fight against this. I'm going to trust you. And I'm going to let go. I'm going to fully let go. I'm going to give you the reins. I'm just going to surrender to this. And I hope you'll catch me. So I'm going to give you 2 weeks. And I never went back. I never could go back because I was caught and I was pushed in all of these directions. And then my guidance got louder because my brain got quieter. And it really started to show me that the more we use our brains as this incredible tool to help, but leave it at that, and we rest in the space almost behind. Like, I remember the first kind of mind-bending book I read was Michael Singer's, I'm blanking, it's right behind me. The Untethered Soul. I was thinking The Surrender Experiment, which is, if you've not read it, I would recommend, and you have trouble surrendering. You can like read it in a minute. It's such an interesting book and it kind of is mind-blowing. But years before I read that, I read The Untethered Soul, and I was in my 20s and some acting coach had recommended it and I didn't get it. Like I just kept reading it and reading it and reading it and reading the same sentences. And I felt like my brain broke because I was like, what do you mean I'm not my thoughts? What do you mean? And there was some sort of imagery around like watching your life and being the observer and like your thoughts and your emotions being there too. But I created an image, and I don't know if they even said it in the book or this is just a way. I don't know if you do this, but I'm a very visual person and a visual learner. So I create images in my brain when I read things. And so I have this image always of me. And initially, it was just almost like an inch away of this big screen of my life. But there was a bit of separation. And they say that meditation does that. It gives you this like magical power of having just like a second to react instead of respond. Well, I meditated so much, I had like miles in between. In the beginning, it was just like, okay, I'm in my life. And then it was like, no, I'm like an inch away. And the further and further I got into meditation, the more the movie got smaller and the space around the movie got bigger. And the more the movie was a movie and the space became peace. And the movie could be turbulent, but I was less and less invested in it. Not that I wasn't invested in my life, but there was space for me to decide how I responded and reacted. And there was so much more peace where I could decide that, hey, this really hard thing is actually for me and I'm going to figure out why. Or, hey, wow, this is overwhelming. I feel really angry, or I feel really sad. And in the past, I would have done anything. Like I had a lot of addictive behaviors to avoid feeling pain because I was so sensitive and it was so overwhelming to me. And that ultimately led to being bulimic for a while, which I know I've talked about. But it would be like in the past, something would happen and it'd be like, oh my God, eat a cookie. You know what I mean? And this gave me the space to be like, oh, wow, that hurts so much. And I'm going to pause and I'm going to allow myself to feel the feeling and I'm going to let it move through me, or I'm going to get myself in a space where I can feel this versus numb it and shove it down further. So all of a sudden, there's a completely new operating system in my body that I've been developing for years that a couple years ago just got like blown out of the water. And instead of living fully in the movie, now I'm living in the back of the theater, sort of in this big space of peace, really deciding how much letting everything in, but deciding how I respond to it instead of reacting to it. And so as I've gone on this journey, okay, pause, hold, sorry. I had to take a drink of water. Well, it's got a bunch of lemon and salt and electrolytes. It's delightful. That's why it's cloudy if you're watching. So it led me to a year and a half ago feeling like, you know what, I don't think there's free will. Because at a certain level of sensitivity, there you feel the pull. There is a bigger pull that's bigger than you, and fighting against it, you can. So this is where I'm like, well, technically there is, because you can fight against it, but it doesn't feel good. So I feel like I'm settling on there's free will, but at a cost, at a certain level of sensitivity and connection to yourself. And it's funny, my entire life until sort of the death experience a couple years ago, I was reading and listening to everything all the time. And when that happened, I started to crave a lot more silence. And, I meditated. It wasn't like TV in the background, but I was always really curious about how do I expand? How do I learn the next thing? And when the death experience happened, it was like everything stopped. And I just really had this deep desire for silence and peace, which I understand now as I was developing, an internal navigation system where my intuition got a lot louder, my channel got a lot louder, mediumship started to happen. So there was a lot of other information that wanted to come in that I needed silence for. But it's so hard when there's just the noise of our life, the noise of busyness, the literal noise of your TV or podcast or music, and then the noise of our brain. So I had to work through kind of quieting both of those down to be at a space to let everything else come in. And again, I didn't do this intentionally. I was just trying to feel okay. I was like, I'm overwhelmed, like things aren't working. How do I heal my body? How do I get out of constant anxiety, right? So I accidentally found my way here. And it's been interesting because the past couple of years, it's really hard for me to read and listen to things unless I'm sort of pulled by this slide or this, I don't know what to call it. Like this energy pulls me towards it. And it's so interesting because it would be the right thing at the right time, right? Like I was reading a book that the day my channel got louder, I was reading about, the difference between inner guidance and outer guidance. And it like gave me this direct understanding of what I was hearing and everything that was going on. So it's been really beautiful. And again, this goes back to, hey, how do I follow my intuition sooner? How do I say yes to the nudges of my body, like to life's guidance internally and externally? What happens is more and more, it's the right book, the right podcast, the right place and time. So a couple weeks ago, okay, hold on. I'm getting like two different, okay, sorry, I need to reconnect because there's a story I thought might need to tell, but then there's also, there's two things and I'm trying to navigate what wants to come first. And now you're seeing in real time me understanding my repeated nudges internally, or is this my brain trying to control what I'm meant to do? And like my goal here was just to like be open and flow as much as possible. So like, let me take a deep breath. Okay, I'm going to tell the story. So before I get into the next part, again, following nudges, going beyond my mind, right? I have this incredible partner, and I trust her intuition maybe more than she does. And I tend to trust anyone in my life. If you tell me you're intuitively connected to something, you don't believe it, I will trust it far more than I will trust you. Your intuition is just so much smarter than you are. You just need to be listening to it, but it's super hard because our brain is very loud. So, my partner, I know that everything in her life is that she feels really drawn to do, that she feels really like the pull, the desire. This is not the brain telling you should do something, but it's the pull from your heart. Anything that she feels is so important, I know not only will that benefit her, but it will benefit me. And side note, if you don't get anything else from this, from our time together, understand that the thing that you feel the most excited to do, the nudge, the thing that feels selfish and silly and maybe ridiculous or superfluous, you have to do it. You have to do it, because all of those things, all of those buried treasures inside of you that you don't see how they're important or necessary are going to change someone else's life. We need you to shine the brightest. We need you to be the fullest expression of yourself, no matter how silly it is. Like, we need this. It's going to make our lives better, right? So I encourage her in this way because I'm like, listen, there's proof. Everything you bring into our lives makes me better. 100%. So here she has this strong pull to go to Egypt. And of course, I love to travel. I love adventure. Like, I want to go to Egypt. Who doesn't want to go to Egypt? And she feels very called to find a like historical but spiritual tour. Sounds great to me. She finds this woman out of Tasmania who's Australian, who's leading her fifth and final trip. Sounds great. Sure. She's an Egyptologist. Fabulous. And she's a channel of light language, which was new to me. I know I've talked about it a little bit here. I'd only heard it once before. And if you never heard it, it sounds very silly, or to me, it sounded very silly, and it sounds very like gibberishy. And again, we know I have this really loud, rational mind that wants to understand, doesn't want to look ridiculous, like wants things to be grounded in science, which of course is the reason I have the life I have, right? Like, nothing makes sense and all these crazy magical things always happen. So I'm kind of like, this is going to be interesting, but like also giddy up. So here we are, day one of this trip. We have a private entrance to the Sphinx. It's 4 or 5 in the morning. It's a full moon. It is otherworldly. It does not feel like we have stepped into another dimension. We are meditating between the paws, which I didn't even know you couldn't even get in and like touch it. Like, when we went back during the day, like it's a whole area that's warded off. Like, you cannot get anywhere near this thing. And here we've gotten access to meditate, at the base of this thing. And all of a sudden, we are amidst all of these people channeling and speaking light language. And my brain loudly is like, oh my God, this is not safe. This is super weird. Oh my God, I'm feeling all this energy. I want to cut it off. And then I get a very loud directive from my channel that is like, get out of the way, get out of the way and allow. And at this point, I trust. So I do. And I have all this energy that goes through my body. It's this wild experience. This continues throughout the course of the trip during different light language meditations. Sometimes she speaks it to us. I feel all kinds of energy. And again, I have to go and listen to my heart through my heart instead of my brain, right? As my brain wants to take it apart and be like, this is totally crazy. Nothing's going on. And by the end of the trip, though, I feel so different. I feel changed. It's very beautiful. I'm fully bought in. It feels like truth in my body. And that's something that I want to encourage all of you to explore, is like, what is the feeling of truth in your body? How do you know when your brain is saying no and screaming and full of anxiety or fear? How do you know when you need to do something? Or how do you know when, your brain is screaming right and is actually left? And for me, it feels a lot like peace. It feels like relaxation. Sometimes it feels warm. I'll sometimes tear up And other times I'll get goosebumps all over my body. Sometimes it's both. All of these are signs of truth when my brain is like, holy shit, this is really weird. So here we are. We have this incredible, this is how we start the year. This is, mid-January. We have this incredible experience. And somehow, because there are no accidents, I find myself sitting next to our guide and leader for this trip, Victoria, who's wonderful. And of course, like, I've had this profound experience. Here I am, a couple years into having a channel, not really knowing what to do with it, not knowing how open to be to channeling, to mediumship, to any of it, feeling kind of judgmental of myself, feeling afraid, feeling like a weirdo, all of the things. And so I just asked her, like, how did this happen for you? What did you think? What did you do? This, that, and the other thing. And she was so cute. She just sat there and she looked at me and she goes, I'm not a very curious person. So I don't know. It just started happening and I went with it. And I started to speak the light language. I started to do what I was being told to do. And it made my life better. And it made the lives of those around me better. And it continues to do that. And it was like, she like flicked me between the eyebrows or something. And I was like, oh, whoa, here I am with all of these gifts, all of this information, all of the, these guides wanting to come in and help and teach and guide. And I'm sitting there, my brain being like, is this real? Like, do you have a confirmation number? Like, I don't know. Like, how do you prove it? And, shutting it off, right? Letting my brain be loud. And then it was so beautiful because I heard it deeply. And she said nothing to me about, hey, don't ask so many questions, you're getting in the way. But I heard it. And then we come home and within a couple of days, we start this Gene Keys course. And Richard Rudd, who is the author of the Gene Keys, has written another book, I think called The Sage, something around the sage, that he's interwoven this new book into this latest course that we were doing. So the first month of this course, I get home 2 days after I have this conversation with her, and we each have, you have these Gene Keys, and each of the Gene Keys has a poetic and mythic reflection from his new book called It's Sage. And with my primary Gene Key, I had from the Sage, I had the word Vidya, which is intuitive truth arising from the transparent silence of the self. And this is what I read. Your life hinges around your relationship to your mind. If you try and use your mind to solve the problems of your life, you will only end up going in circles. You have an incredible gift at your disposal. Vidya means you begin to trust in the power of your intuitive knowing rather than your rational knowing. Let knowledge surrender to wisdom. You have the potential to be a seer, to know and see things that are beyond the current understandings of science. First, you must let go of having to understand everything. Then life will open its treasure box for you. So then I was like, okay. I mean, literally someone said it to my face. 2 days later, again, I'm reading this. And it's one of those moments where it's like, I hear you. I get it. I know you're screaming from every possible angle at me. I'm going to try to let go. And coming back to this week, coming back to when I connected with my guides and I was like, what do I need to be doing here? What do I need to be sharing? Among everything I shared, it also brought me to this. So a couple months ago, I got the ping one morning to listen to a podcast I never listened to. And I went through the latest episode. It was fine. It was good enough. I listened to the next one. And it was this woman. Her name is Sarah Landon. Yes, I'm trying to make sure. I was saying this to someone the other day. I feel like it's like name amnesia where I will know your name. I will know you super well. But if I see you unexpectedly and I'm with someone that doesn't know you and I have to introduce or remember the name of something on the spot, or like introduce two people out of nowhere, my brain panics and I forget what your name is. Or like the name of the book or the name of the thing. It's so funny. It's like I stop breathing or something, and it's like, I don't know. So anyway, that's what happened. Sarah Landon. So she is the second episode, and she's a channel. She channels something called The Council. And immediately she starts doing it. And again, I light up. All of the truth in my body, all of the signals turn on. I'm goosebumps. My eyes are watering. I'm feeling peace. I'm feeling warmth. I'm feeling like, oh my God, I need more of this. It's like more oxygen. I need to breathe it into my body. So I listen to her books. I read some of her books. I'm just, I listen to the podcast a couple of times. I listen to the message. And it was beautiful because if you pay attention, and I truly believe this, the next step is always going to be revealed, but you need to be present, connected to yourself, and in the moment, right? Everything is always here. You don't need anything else beyond that. And I think where people I know people get themselves in trouble because they're, thinking about the past, or often worrying, obsessing about the future. And that's a way to control when we live in fear. We're always trying to think about, what's the next thing? How's it going to be when we get there? We're always sort of kind of one step removed, trying to plan to make sure we're okay and everything goes smoothly. And through the Gene Keys, I've really, really been able to, I noticed last year that one of my addictive thought patterns was never fully giving over to the present moment, especially really beautiful moments. Because as soon as I started to feel like really relaxed or really good, there was a bit of my brain that was like, ooh, you could be relaxed when this next little thing happens. You can be happy. You can fully be happy when. And there was always something. And of course, as soon as the thing happened, there was always a next thing, right? And I noticed how I had lived my entire life just a little less present, a little less peaceful, a little less happy than I could be, because there was always a part of my brain living in the future, trying to control, trying to fix, trying to steer the ship. Because I think as humans, we really deeply think that if we're not doing it ourselves, it cannot be done. And, if we surrender, if we let go of the reins, we're going to end up, poor and homeless and in a ditch. And it's only up to us. And I think there's something very American in our culture about that, where it's like, it's just you got to do. But I think overall, like where we are in this time in history, we really feel that we have to like go and we gotta drive the bus. No one else is going to do it. And it's so funny because yes and no. We try so hard to control the outcome of our lives in all the wrong ways. And we push and we burn ourselves out and we run so fast on this treadmill. And at the end of the day, it's the internal shifts that make all the difference, right? We talk about like the map of consciousness. The higher we are on the map, like the higher our number, the higher the vibe, the higher the frequency, the higher, the more pleasant the feelings, however you want to call it, they're all the same. The more we are magnetic, truly, like who doesn't notice the person that like walks into the bar and is like super shiny? Who doesn't want to work with the person who's happy and joyful all the time? Like we magnetize stuff to us when we're feeling good. Like things just come our way, right? So here we are in life, thinking that we have to like push externally super hard and burn our physical bodies out, when really at the end of the day, it's changing our internal orientation towards life. It's like, okay, right now, I don't love the job I have. I don't love where I live. I don't love the situation I'm in. How do I fully surrender to it? I stop resisting, because when we resist one thing, we resist everything, right? Life's a flow. How do I just let go? I stop resisting and I understand that there's something for me in this very moment, that even if it's very painful, that if I allow myself to just feel it and move through it, there's something on the other side of it that I really desperately need, right? So we're trying to control. We can't. in the ways we think we can. We're running around with our minds telling us what to do. Okay, you go to school, you do what your neighbors are doing, you do what your parents are telling you to do what your friends are doing, you do what everyone on Instagram is telling you to do. And we think that, well, we try really hard. And yes, you can absolutely like manifest things, make things happen in that way. But I'm here to tell you there's like a way easier, way more fun way to do it. And so a year and a half ago, when I'm like, whoa, there's no free will, which I think it's more nuanced than that actually. But hey, there's an easier way, right? And the more aligned I get, and the more sensitive I get, I realize when I'm in flow and when I'm out of flow. And when I'm in flow, things happen effortlessly, the right time, the right place, the right podcast, the next right step presents itself to me when I am present and connected to myself, when I'm feeling good. The next right step is always there, right? So here's this podcast a couple months ago, and boom, here it is. This woman is talking about channeling. This woman's talking about her story. It is like light language, any sort of channel transmission, especially now, like we are, whether or not you believe it. To me, what I understand to be true in my body, when I read things, I hear things, I feel things about this, right? Not my brain, but my body says yes to this, that we are in this wild moment of like an evolution of human consciousness and just like new energy. The world is moving forward in all of these crazy ways. Our bodies are changing. Like some of us are really having big reaction to this, right? And some people not so much. And that's just whatever, path you're on. Nothing is better than the other. But here we are moving forward at this pace. And, one foot in front of the other, the next right step is there. Here I am hearing this and understanding that, okay, not all of this is going to make sense. And it's the same when I studied the Gene Keys, right? But I understand that there's the vibration behind what people are saying. And that was the crazy thing about the death experience I had a couple of years ago. I became so much more sensitive that I couldn't read a book for the content of the book. I could feel, and this sounds weird, but like it was the energy behind the words. So I was only reading spiritual things. I was only listening to, like not that that's the only good energy, but that was being called, right? I stopped being able to listen to a lot of different podcasts, certain kinds of music, because the energy just brought me down. Even if they were saying really nice words, the energy just brought me down. And I think we've all had that experience where you have a friend or a family member and they're lovely and you guys are having a great conversation, but you leave feeling like shit because like their energy wasn't great, right? Maybe they take too much or, they're energy vampires or whatever it is. They're not a good spot. And not that you should cut all those people out, but start to notice what you take in and how it makes you feel. And often there's sometimes a discrepancy between the actual words and the feeling. So I've become a lot more sensitive to that. And as we get new energy, as things speed up, that is going to matter more and more, which also comes back to having to listen to your intuition in a more heightened way. So here we are. I'm understanding that even if some of this stuff doesn't totally make sense to my logical mind, that this is a vibrational experience, right? So I'm listening to these books over and over again. And there's one called The Wisdom of the Counselor that I think came out in 2022. Is just mostly a channeled book from her guides, who whenever she channels them, it just feels like peace. It feels like truth. It felt like they were speaking to me. They were articulating things that I knew that I didn't know how to say, which is the same experience I had when I got my human design chart read. It was like, oh my God, thank you for articulating this nebulous thing I didn't understand or I wasn't totally aware of, but I just felt. And this is what the wisdom of the council. So I listened to this book a couple of times and I get to chapter 11 and I'm just re-listening. And then a week or so ago, I was like, I just have to dictate this because I only have it on audiobook. I need to see these words and I need to write things down to really embody them. Because there's a way you learn things in your brain, but it's just in your brain. So how do I learn things so they're integrated into my heart and into my body? How do I learn how to live it, not just know it? And for me, that's underlying, that's writing, that's typing up, that's talking, that's teaching. So here I am. I go through it. I write it all down. I read it. I I'm sure there are typos. It's not perfect. And then the other day when I'm like, okay, what am I to share? Like, I'm open, just guide me. And more, I'm making my brain get out of the way, right? I'm like, okay, I know I have so much guidance. It's so simple. It's right there. And I'm not the special one. We all have it. We just don't know how to listen. Things are too loud. Our nervous system's too loud. Our bodies are too loud. Our thoughts are too loud. Our televisions are too loud, right? Our stress is too loud. I'm not special. We all have this, right? I just have learned how to listen. So here I am being like, okay, what do I need to do? And it guides me to this. And I start knowing that I need to talk it out. And guys, get you a friend or two that you can just like work things out through. And like one of my best friends, I was like, listen, I need to like work something out, and I'm going to start like talking this out because it's something I'm needing to work through. And as soon as I start doing this in her voice notes, I'm like, oh, no, this is okay. I know what I need to do. I get a real ping to share this. So I'm going to go through the excerpts from chapter 11 from The Wisdom of the Council by Sarah Landon, because for me, it was this huge light bulb moment where I try to help people with this specific thing, but I knew how to live it and I knew how it felt and I didn't know how to articulate it. So I want to go through this with you and hopefully it resonates, and know to listen with your heart, not your brain, and that, their words are a vibrational experience. So either way, something beautiful is happening. If you choose to believe it. And if you don't, that's great too. This is what kind of initially caused me to sit down. But in the doing, there is always more to be done. In the being, all things are done through you. Whoa, right? And this is terrifying because this is basically telling us you don't have to worry about it. And this goes back to, okay, we think that the doing is outside. You push harder, you work harder, you push, you make the phone calls, you go to every networking event you can, you do everything, you post every day on Instagram and LinkedIn and TikTok, and you do because you need to get your message out there. And this is saying, which I felt and I believe, in the being, all things are done through you. So I know it's radical, but what if instead of pushing so hard externally, you get into the energy and the vibration of the result that you want? Okay, you want more clients. Why do you want more clients? Because you want more money? Great. Or you want to get your art out there? Great. What does that feel like to you? And I'm not saying you don't do it in the real world. I'm saying you do it from that place. You practice being in that feeling of, for me, like abundance was freedom. When I felt like I was trying to call in more abundance, I would just sit in freedom and I would visualize what that meant to me. And I would practice that in my body until my life became it. And I am in gratitude every day for the amount of freedom I have. But I memorized this for years. I sat every morning until I could really connect with it, right? And let my external life started to shift. So I come here saying this to you because I've done it and I continue to do it and I continue to see results. So, it's a process, but I absolutely encourage you, even if it's a couple minutes a day, right? Because in the being, all things are done through you. It's a flow, right? It all comes to you. The path unfolds with ease and grace. It's choiceless, it's just clear, and you are totally confident. There is a certainty and it just happens. So truly, once you get super clear on that feeling, things will unfold. And this also speaks to the greater fear that we all have, which is why people don't want to surrender. And it's trust. It's really, really hard, especially if we're brought up to just only trust the 3D world around us, that there isn't something bigger that loves us, that's supporting us, that's guiding us, that's whispering and screaming sometimes at us to go in the right direction of our dreams and the love and the things that we want and our growth, right? It all comes to you. You just have to let go and trust. And that's a really hard thing to do. This is simple. It's not easy because it's so antithetical to how we're brought up. Don't try to figure anything out. Don't try to make any big decisions. there's no big decisions. There are no big decisions to make. Again, that sounds really radical, but have you been like, I know, and I've been there, right? Where you're in a relationship and or a job, right? And you got to move. Maybe it's an apartment. You know that there is an ending on this situation. And for some reason, you cannot bring yourself to do it. It's just not time yet, right? And being in the coaching space for 10 years, I've received this over and over and over again. And it's like, why am I not doing it? Why am I not leaving? Why am I not getting a new job? It's like, okay, guys, it's because I think it's not always entirely up to us, right? And if we can be like, okay, how do I let go? How do I not resist what is this relationship, this situation, this housing situation? How do I surrender and know that it's here for me now to teach me something? How do I orient my inner world towards getting the best I can out of it and feeling the heaviness and moving through the pain that it's causing me and trying to learn something? All of a sudden one day you won't be able to take it anymore, and there'll just be this inner energy that like catapults you out of it. We've all been there. Like I would encourage you to connect to that, right? So here we are thinking we made the decision because we intuitively knew this was wrong for us for weeks, days, years, months, decades, who knows? And we suffered for that amount of time to one day just have it be over, where I almost want to invite you to be like, okay, great. Well, I know this is going to end. I know, I feel it in my heart that there's something bigger and better for me out there. And my only job is to sit back, deal with what's in front of me, not resist, and orient myself towards growth and towards love and towards trying to appreciate what is good in my life, even if it's just like a crack of sunlight through the slit in the door right now. And that's it. And trust that the more I do that, the quicker I'm going to get myself out of this situation. And this is where I started to get very excited about this book, right? There is the simple decision of choosing to open and allow energy. What? Right? But this is what I got lit up about. I was like, wait, I know, I feel like here I am kind of in my sandbox of my interior life, right? I'm not in the movie anymore. The movie's just over here in the corner. I am in this space of peace and sort of the unknown, just floating around, getting used to being in uncertainty, loving it, trusting that I'm just in partnership with something so much bigger, trying to be in peace, trying to be in love, and noticing when there's a push of energy and when there's not. And noticing when I go with the push of energy and the flow and I act on that energy, the doors open effortlessly. And notice when I get up and I try to force the other direction, that I end up feeling worse. Things don't happen. You step in poop, like bad things happen. And, the hardest way I do that right now is with my body, because I spent 10 plus years studying nutrition, studying science around nutrition and exercise and mindfulness and inflammation and autoimmune diseases. And you need this much exercise and this much protein. Well, the past 3 years, my body has gone through so many changes, which I got all the tests, not perimenopause, nothing. I'm totally healthy, but why is all of this stuff happening, right? It was really hard to divorce myself from, hey, eating this certain way made my body look and feel a certain way. I did it. None of it was the same. I had to listen to this new navigation system, right? I needed to, and this is like the place I play in the sandbox the most right now is, wow, I used to not eat as many carbohydrates because that was bad for my inflammation, but like, that's all I want these days, or that's this, or that's that, or I should be weightlifting when I actually just want to walk on the beach, and just allowing and seeing how my body feels. And, spoiler alert, the more I listen to the subtle nudges, the better I feel, the easier it is, right? So here we are. Someone is naming this energy in a way that like resonates with me. So choose to open and allow the energy to be all that you are, to live in heaven on earth here and now. That's the choice that is available to you. Okay, what does that mean? What do you mean? That sounds crazy, right? But they talk about being all that you are, allowing all that you are. And trust me, I've been like reading and listening to these books for the past couple months. And only 2 weeks ago did it hit me. I'm like, I don't allow all that I am. I actually worry a lot about being too much, about being too sensitive, about saying no, about asking for more time alone, about coming on here and doing this when I felt so urged to do this by my intuition and my guides. That's too weird. Don't take up space in this way. You're too much. No one cares. This is too esoteric. You need to ground this in reality. Don't share this. Don't do that. And I was like, oh my gosh, here I'm resisting being all that I am. And right when we resist one thing, we resist everything. There's going to be more stagnant energy in my life. And when things are stagnant, you get unhealthy, you get frustrated, you become unhappy, right? We know they're all interconnected. How can I be all that I am? So it's okay. It's the simple decision of being more open to all of the guidance, letting go, allowing the energy, allowing yourself to be all that you are. So feel all the feelings, feel the urges, nudges, udges, like be joyful, be happy, sing, dance, wear the weird sweatshirt, whatever it is. Allow yourself to be all that you are and live in heaven on earth here and now, which to me, and my understanding of this is like, how do we just, in the moments that we can, because trust me, when you look for them, there are going to be moments with your dog, with your kids, with your best friend, with your partner, feeling fully expressed at work or when you're making art or on a run where it's amazing. You look around and you feel good and you feel love and you see a sunset and we miss it. We're not here because we're in the future. We're not allowing ourselves to have those moments. And you become what you are and you draw to you what you are. And then you practice, like the more you practice, the more you'll notice this, right? So it's actually simple. Even if it's the slit of sunshine under the door and that's it and the rest is darkness, how do you put your face in it and enjoy the beauty of that, right? And practice that and more will come, right? Your thinking, your vibration, and your state of consciousness, those are the choices you make. That's going back to like, oh, we think we can control by doing. And really, we shift everything by how we are, how we be, how we show up, how we feel. If you should move, not a decision to make right now. If you should leave your relationship, not a decision to make right now. If you do all these things and push and force and try to make something happen, you are limiting the energy that is trying to present itself to you in a new way and move you into a new expanded experience of all that is and that you've never allowed yourself before. This energy, this partnership with your higher self, with whoever it is, the universe, the beyond, the love that is bigger than us. You could call it or believe it, whatever you want. God, doesn't matter. It is always offering you a richer, fuller, more expansive experience of what it's like to live beyond limitation. Make the simple decision to open and allow energy to be all that you are and to live in heaven and earth right now. What do you mean? Like that's available to us 100%, 100%. And it's so funny. I look at my life and there were a couple of opportunities that were given to me that my rational brain was like, that's weird. Don't do it. One was moving to Portugal and I had such a pull. Like I stepped out to Lisbon. I'm at the street by myself at 9 p.m. on like a Tuesday. And it was like everything felt electric in my body. And I came back, after being gone a couple times, once to the south, once to the north, driving once on a train, both times, this overwhelming feeling of home. Like I'm home. This is where my home needs to be. My rational brain is like, what are you talking about? But I followed that energy and I got here and things unfolded so incredibly well. It was the same with my partner. It was so beyond what I expected and what I thought I was looking for, but the energy was there. The pull towards her was there. And in my surrendering to something much bigger than me, I mean, that was the next iteration of the most beauty I've been given. And here we are, feels like these two little kids just like climbing this tree of life together, giving each other a boost. And the beauty is like the more we expand into who we are, the fullness of what we are, the more we help the other person, and the more we experience love and fun and expansion. So truly, following the energy in my experience they say, things are going to unfold for you perfectly. Let everything be choiceless, easy, effortless, harmonious. You stay in the flow and let it come to you. You stay in the flow and let it come to you. We assure you it will. Anything you're trying to figure out, anything you're trying to make a decision on, let it go. Let it play out. Let yourself really see what this is all about. Live with no doubt that you can live in any reality you choose. I couldn't have dreamed my life. I had no idea it could be this beautiful. I didn't know that everything that's in my life is what I wanted. And it's so interesting, right? Like I think about, there was this real pull to become an actor because it was the only way my brain could understand, like, okay, there needs to be connection and storytelling. There's got to be some performance. I really need to understand my body and how to feel and how to navigate, and need to understand navigating energy. And it was the most beautiful thing for me to do for 15 years. But the whole time there was a part of me that's like, this isn't it. Like, this isn't fully it. Like, there's something else. Like, this is just a step on the path, right? And the same, like, it was so wild when I didn't know, when I stepped away from acting and all of a sudden life opened up in this much bigger way and I could live anywhere and I could do anything because, work was remote and I was really lucky in that way at the time. And I kept thinking like, well, I only can live in New York or LA. That's where like my communities are. I can move back to Maine. That doesn't make sense. And then I was trying to be like, well, I like the feeling of Brooklyn and East LA. I could move to Austin. I like went to Austin and I was like, no. And I kept coming up with all these arbitrary things and panicking. And then I just remember, like, as the universe does it, right? I ended up back at my parents' house and I thought I would spend the summer there and like figure it out. And within a couple of weeks, I'm covered in rashes all over my body. I cannot sleep. I'm feeling horrible. I just need to get the hell out of there. And I think about like, well, it's about to be summer in Maine. I could rent a place here. And I was like, that's an insane thing to do. And I was thinking, okay, if I'm going to pay rent anywhere, where is it going to be? And I was smart enough to like just follow my heart. And that led me to Paris because I've always loved Paris, and led me to this phase of my life where I didn't know what to do. So I would just do the thing that lit me up. I would just follow the joy and the curiosity, which, months later led me to Portugal, which months later led me to living in Portugal. But I wouldn't have been able to rationalize my way into this life, right? And allowing the pull of energy, which to me feels like flow. It feels like excitement. It feels juicy. It makes me feel curious. It makes my heart feel like it expands. It feels like, as I'm like turned on, you know what I mean? It's like I'm being pushed, like there's a tailwind. And as I started to get more sensitive to this energy, and just followed it no matter what my brain said. And again, a couple years ago, this took me like praying to whoever that I would be okay and not end up homeless, as I like completely unwound my more logical life because the energy was not allowing me to do it. Things started to unfold and become more beautiful, right? Breathe into the fullness of all that you are and all that is here for you. And they talk a lot in this book about like the master, and that's sort of the master of your own life, right? Masters live for themselves and know that in doing so, they serve the highest good, the divine plan. That does not mean that the master lives selfishly, because the master does not have a personal agenda. The master lives within their own experience and all that is available to him. The master owns no one. The master owes no one. The master allows all that is. The master allows the energy and the light to guide the way. The master follows the energy, and when there is no energy, the master knows to stop. This was another like stop, rewind. Oh my God, no one's articulated this to me before. Here I am living, following this energy. And then when it's gone, feeling so lost, feeling so frustrated, feeling so stuck. And then it's so funny because like I'll have so many friends or people in my life come to me, clients where, there's no energy. And it's hard because I want to be like, I think you need to give up for a little while. It's like, don't try, just give up. And I'm like, but in a good way, in like a surrender. And people are like, well, what do I do? Like, what am I supposed to do next? What are you telling me? I'm going to die if I just give up. I'm not going to have a job. I'm not going to, you know what I mean? I'm not going to have money. My dreams will be unfulfilled if I just give up. So this is the first time I'm like, yes, oh my God, someone is articulating this. Thank God. I have a way to share this, right? Follow the energy, and when there is no energy, stop and allow the light to guide the way. If there is no energy, then there is nothing for you to do and no place for you to go. It is about you being in the fullness of who and where you are right now until there's a clear flow of energy, and then you allow it to guide the way. So in my life, I was living this way, but I couldn't help. I got to the point where I knew if the energy is gone and people just really felt stuck, I was always like, well, just give up and don't do anything. And they're like, that's not helpful. And then it was a little bit like, I don't know. I just kind of waited until it like came back. And for me, this has been a few years. This has been, gosh, it'll be 2 years at the end of the summer that I like let go of the podcast. Like it's been a couple of years of me really not having the energy and just doing one foot in front of the other, and having the energy to do certain things like study the Gene Keys or meditate more, but not to do anything bigger than that made sense in like the 3D world, right? So here I am being like, well, I know to live this way and I'm being pulled in this direction. And even though it's deeply, deeply uncomfortable, and man, last year I had to face that my love was conditional, that I was teaching self-love. That's what I was doing at the core of my health coaching. I was teaching self-love and I'd mastered it, right? Here I was, I'd recovered from an eating disorder. I'd recovered from an autoimmune disease. I knew how to love my body. I overcame being so incredibly mean and hard on myself. But what I realized was, as long as I physically felt good, as long as I thought that I looked good, right? And as long as I was doing something that provided good in the world, that I was doing something of benefit, then I knew how to love myself. Well, the past few years have stripped all of that away, right? I had no energy. I put on weight. My body was doing all these weird things. I didn't fit in my clothes. Sometimes I looked pregnant. I was farting all the time because that's the relationship I have to new energy. I felt like there were just all these weird, gross things happening in my body. I did not feel sexy. I did not look great, or in my opinion, like I just felt gross and I couldn't work. I wasn't doing anything to serve at all. And man, did I feel like a big piece of shit, especially, God, like the last year. I would say the beginning of last year, the amount I was brought to my knees by what I thought, like you think you master something and life is like, all right, here we go, next layer, right? And I didn't know. I really thought that, here I was, I'd overcome all these things and I felt like crap all over again. So who am I to give anyone advice? I follow the energy. The energy stops. I'm just like one step at a time trying to feel okay again, trying to learn how to love myself, trying to accept myself being useless, quote unquote, right? Being, over 40 and needing bigger pants and all the weird societal things that were going through my brain, and not having a job, not having a baby, and blah, 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 spinning in circles. I didn't know. I needed this book last year, but hey, I wasn't ready for it, right? So I didn't know how to guide people. And here, so clear as day, they talk about, it is about you being in the fullness of who and where you are right here, right now, until there's a clear flow of energy and you allow it to guide the way. Many people distinctly try to push the energy when the energy has stopped. This has been so true for me. So many people, this is how we have burnout. This is why people get so far away from who they are, because society tells us this, like sleep when you're dead, right? Like this is so not what we're meant to do. You push until you get the outcome. Hey, I've burned out. I've been there. The master knows to stop when there is no energy. when the energy is not guiding to a new place to live or a new relationship or a new job, just stop. There is a reason. And this is like, I would have loved someone to tell me this. There is something coming in for you. There is something happening for you. There is more going on that you can see. Isn't that good to know? Right? You are being held. There is a grand reason for this to happen to you. And if we allow all that we are and all that is in this moment, and we allow it to crack us open, break our hearts, destroy us in these ways, because sometimes they do. Sometimes those are the lessons that we need to learn to expand our heart and expand our capacity to love and grow. If we allow and we orientate towards how is this for me, right? There's more, the energy will pick back up and it will guide you. And I love this. You really only need inspiration about 3% of the time. That's all. And this is, mind blowing. What? You only need inspiration 3% of the time. So then you ask, what is it that we are here to do with all our other time? And this is what I would have loved the past couple of years. But hey, I did my best. I gravitated towards that stuff slowly, but it would have been lovely. And I offer it for all of you who feel stuck, who are rolling the boulder up the hill, who are pushing so hard to burn out, who are, doing what society says, doing what your brain is telling you to do because you're so afraid of letting go. You are so afraid of stopping because the energy has stopped, right? What is it that we are to do with all of our other time? Oh, this is my favorite. Do the things that bring you joy. Do the things that are fun for you. Create, play, have fun. Love, love, love. Love the trees, love the land, love the animals, love the sun, love yourself, your family, love experiences, joy, friends. Have fun and appreciate beauty. Live life to the fullest. Be all that you are. Breathe into your well-being. Breathe. That's what you do. What? What do you mean? I'm just allowed to pause and reorient towards love and joy, and that's going to bring the energy back, and that's going to bring the clarity in the next right step. 100%. Yes, 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 yes. I know this to be true now from my experience, and I know this to be true from my body's signaling of the truth, and my body is so much smarter than my brain. And this process requires you to acknowledge, love, and use your brain, but not allow the brain to run the entire show. Feel the energy, check in with your body, check in with your intuition. And a couple times this year, even before getting to this aha moment, I had these moments where I don't know what I was doing. I was feeling a little bit off one day. And I know there are things that I can do to connect myself back to center, to feel better. So here I am. I get up, I go to this Pilates studio that I like, and then I'm lucky enough to be able to walk home along the coast. And it's not far. And it's a beautiful day. And I turn on my my Growing Up With Me playlist that I had to make a couple weeks ago. So there are all these nostalgic and really fun songs. And it's a beautiful beach day. It's one of the most beautiful beach days of the year this year. And everyone's out. Everyone's excited. Everyone's having a great time. So it's the sun. It's the ocean. It's the good music. I've moved my body in a way that brings me joy. That is a really great way for me to connect to myself. And everyone is having the best time. The bikinis are out, kids are in the water, and I'm just wandering around, soaking in the sun, the vibes, the music, wandering around, staring. I love clouds. I'm very into clouds. They're my favorite thing. It was a great cloud day. So not cloudy, but there were some interesting, beautiful, fluffy clouds. I just feel like it's like art. The sky feels like this huge painting, and every day it's like, what is here for us now? So I'm enjoying the clouds, enjoying the music, enjoying the vibes. And all of a sudden, it's like I get hit by lightning and I have all these creative ideas. And it was so beautiful. So I'm on my phone writing them down, being like, this is it. I just unintentionally put myself into a higher vibration. And this is where my creativity lives. This is where this is where my channel is strongest. This is where, my gifts are. They live here. When I feel disconnected, just get back up here. And I mean, I've learned this slowly over time. And this is why this book lit me up so much. And I sat down and I had to listen to it a million times because I feel, especially the past couple of years, there is this energy that is bigger and beyond me. And yes, it is my free will to choose to work with it or against it, as it is yours. But I promise you, when you work with it, your life becomes bigger and more beautiful than you can imagine, because your mind is only ever going to create what it knows rationally, what you've experienced, maybe what you've seen. Let me tell you, in following the energy, what has been presented to me is beyond my wildest dreams over and over again. And I've had to just allow it in, expand my heart, expand my deservingness, expand my gratitude for it. So again, when things are stuck and you feel frustrated and you feel, and this is not to say quit your job, quit parenting your kids, quit working out, quit eating vegetables, whatever the hard thing is, it's how do you get to a state of connection to loving something in your life, to dancing around in your bedroom, to hugging your kid a little longer. Or you're petting your cat, right? How do you cozy up to the things that you love and really enjoy them and make a practice of really enjoying them? And again, that's what gets you back into the energy. So to close it out, they just reiterate, there's no big decisions you need to make except the simple decision to open and allow energy to be all that you are, to live in heaven on earth here and now. The master follows the energy, and when there is no energy, the master knows to stop. In the doing, there is always more to be done. In the being, all things are done through you. Through your being, you draw more of what you are to you. When you expand your consciousness and awareness, you expand your potential and look at things differently and perceive things differently and focus on a higher vision of your own experience. You build bridges to heaven on earth, right? You create an experience that you love. If our perception is creating our reality, which it is, right? You go, eat a ton of sugar or drink a bunch of alcohol, don't go to bed and see what the next day looks like. And then you sleep and you move your body and you get some sun and you get some vegetables and then you see what you feel like and your thoughts are like we control this, right? Or you just spend a day thinking everyone's out to get you versus another day everyone is for you and the life is just gifting you with things all the time. Things will change. So I will read one more. All right. Remember that from a state of being, all things will be done through you. They repeat a lot because, again, this is a vibration, but these are the important bits that you need to get in. So I kept them in, right? Let the next perfect step come to you. Again, I've been talking about this for years. You only ever need to know the next right step. And the next right step is only available to you if you're connected to yourself in the moment. Follow the energy and let the light guide the way forward. Let it be easy and effortless. When you feel yourself in resistance, try to figure things out or in a state of overwhelm, take 3 deep breaths and come back into the now moment. All your power is in this now moment. Then ask yourself, what would bring me more joy, more love, more freedom, more peace right now? Have fun with all of this. Play, laugh, create, explore, and imagine the possibilities. So this is what I want us to do here. This is what's lighting me up right now. When I connected to my guides, I'm like, what do I need to share? I was pushed. There was so much energy in this direction that I hope you enjoyed it. I hope that you know what? I hope that you do whatever brings you joy. So I was going to say, I hope you go along for this journey with me, but only if you feel the desire and the energy to. And I promise you, I'm going to show up every week following this energy, connecting to what path brings me forward as a way to practice and to learn and to do it for myself. And as a way we can all learn to do this together, right? And to allow all that we are to be in the biggest and best vibration that we can possibly manage, so we can attract the things that we yearn for, that we delight in, that we desire, so we can create a state of feeling like, hey, there's a lot of difficult things on earth, but in my small corner of existence, I can feel moments of heaven where I just allow all the love and joy and magic into my heart. I hope that for you. And I will be doing my best to share that going forward. So I hope you will continue to join me. And if not, I hope you have a beautiful day. And yeah, I love you all. Thank you for being here.